Another fear that the state governments usually have, like for example, the ones like Himachal Pradesh, where they're trying to roll out a hemp policy for its particular state, that if there are more THC available and found in the hemp flowers, it can lead to a separate set of distribution channel for drug use or drug abuse. And the biggest worry is always that the youth is going to get into it and spoil their life. Now, there are three angles to look at it. One is the use of cannabis, one is the abuse of cannabis, and then there is an addiction factor of cannabis. Now, when it comes to the use, any adult, like, has the right to make their own choice as to what is good. Not every just because the cannabis is available doesn't mean that everyone is going to get into it. Even with this particular prohibition, cannabis is available, but it is available through black market, and it is many a times adulterated, and people don't know what is inside all of these things, and because of the lack of educational awareness of what this entire thing, it makes it more difficult for a user, especially the first time user who's wanting to trying to get into this particular uh, habit. So use everyone has the right to use this particular thing. When it comes to abuse, the thing is, like, are people going to abuse this, and are people going to get addicted to it? Now, abuse is another factor where it is on a user level and it is on an individual level. No, it's not related to cannabis per se. If a person is really damaged from childhood because of whatever traumas that he has gone, to cut down the suffering in his mind, the person might choose any kind of abusing mechanism. Some people eat a lot of food, some people eat a lot of sweets, some people have different levels of abuse, like, for example, what is happening with all the social media screen time and excessive scrolling, isn't that an abuse? And is the government putting any kind of check and control in as to how the young kids or the adults are using this particular thing? Now, when it comes to addiction, it is a known fact that cannabis is not biologically addictive, because the scientists, after decades of research, they've concluded that the cannabinoids, there are no receptors in the brain where the cannabinoids cling on to certain receptors where there is a biological addiction. Meaning, once the cannabinoids are out or consumed by the body, the brain is naturally going to crave for more and more cannabinoids. And that's not how cannabinoids work. That's how maybe opioids or any kind of synthetic drugs usually work. Addiction is also another thing where it is related to a person's upbringing, person's culture, person's individual trauma. A person who has no traumatic experiences throughout the childhood or just early adulthood life is likely not to get addicted to anything. And the fear that, like, if we allow hemp plants to have more than 0.3% THC, it might create various different kinds of distribution channels where the introduction for cannabis through the hemp cultivation program is going to create easy access for the youth and youngsters. What have you done in terms of alcohol? Like, every village, every town, every cities have alcohol shops. Like, and once a person turns 18, they're able to go and start drinking alcohol. There is no limitation to this particular culture in any way or form. The one thing that the governments must realize is that by trying to control it too much, you are doing more damage because of the availability of the black market and not knowing what the user is consuming. If the cannabis program is set properly, where from the farms it comes to the companies, from the companies to the dispensary mechanisms, either for personal consumption or medicinal consumption or spiritual consumption in terms of bang shops and other things, it is going to be properly regulated from the levels of cultivation to the branding of the products and to the consumption on the user level, where things are going to be more smoother. So the fear of THC must be loosened up completely by any state government who wants to get into the cannabis program or the cannabis hemp cultivation program.